Yeah, Donovan Edwards. What's his
30 and a
over under
half.
rushing yards? 30 and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got,
I like the over
we got
on that.
Quorum's 101 and a half.
I don't know if I like the over on Quorum. See, I think they'll split them a little bit more evenly than people are expecting. I think Edwards will get more carries, more touches. Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. I got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, all things you've heard all year, Jody. What's up, Joe? Week 18, how we feeling?
Hey, man, playoffs are upon us, and for one, I'm surprised you didn't mention that I'm not wearing glasses today. I'm just rolling with the contacts. My eyes will probably burn by the end of the episode, but it is what it is.
Well, good thing we've got kind of a quicker show today. We're just going to run down what happened in Week 18, give out our last awards of the year, and then we'll be back later in the week with a little playoff breakdown once we know all the matchups. We're recording here during the start of the Sunday night football game, so we still don't quite know our official playoff matchups or when the games will be yet. It's always kind of a fun reveal is what game gets put to the Super Wild Card Monday, which games are on Saturday, which games are on Sunday, all that good stuff. So we don't quite know all that yet. We got the Bills and the Dolphins playing right now, but we'll run through everything that happened this week. First and foremost, Joe, we do have to talk about college football one last time this year. We've got
Monday.
the national championship tomorrow.
Yeah. How do you feel about
Who
it?
you got?
Honestly,
how
I'm
do
just
I
gonna
feel
roll
about
Michigan. Yeah, I'm rolling Michigan. I mean, I had the odds stacked up against them last week. That's not how it played out. Clearly they were the better team all around, and even with like some mishaps early on, like they still got it done. And you know, the main reason I went against you, not just because I wanted to give you a hard time had they not won, but I went with the SEC. I bet on them, and that's not how it all played out. So I think
Usually not a bad bet.
Yeah, I think your biggest issue will probably be just their ability to throw the ball deep. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm not saying your secondary's weak, but I'm saying they can move the ball quickly. And I don't know if you guys are built to score that quickly. You guys like to ground and pound a little bit more. And so I don't know. But I think you guys will just be the better team all around and figure it out. Get some pressure up in the D line and figure it out.
Well, I think I've finally come to the prediction 35-27 Michigan. I like the over in that game. I know a lot of people like the under. I think Michigan's defense will get after them early. I think Washington will figure some stuff out later. I think Michigan's ground and pound attack is actually going to be able to score pretty easily on Washington early on. So I have a feeling Michigan gets out to an early lead. UW plays catch up and makes Michigan fans sweat it out big time once they kind of
Sounds like
figure out
last week
what
a little bit.
Michigan. Yeah, just like Michigan, once you figure out Michigan is, or Penix figures out what Michigan's in, he finds his matchups with Roma Dunze. They'll a little bit of a breakout, and then I think they'll make it interesting at the end. But I've got Michigan covering the spread, Michigan straight up, and I like the over. If you're looking for maybe a prop bet, something that you want to bet on the game, I would imagine that Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum each have big games if Michigan is to win. Donovan Edwards has not had a big game yet this year, really, and I think tomorrow could be the game. So maybe bet the over on his rushing yards, and then on the other side, I really do think that Penix will still find a way to. Yeah, Donovan Edwards. What's his over under rushing yards? 30.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the over on that.
Quorum's 101 and a half.
I don't know if I like the over on Quorum. See, I think they'll split them a little bit more evenly than people are expecting. I think Edwards will get more carries, more touches. I still like Penix to go over on his passing yards. I saw his somewhere around 290. I wouldn't be surprised if he still gets his.
Is what I see.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he still gets his yards, but Michigan wins the game. So that's what I've got. 35-27 Michigan, my official pick. So we'll see. And should be a great game. Very excited for it. But hopping back over to Week 18, here we go. We'll start yesterday. I got the first game. I'll let you take the second one. The Steelers, they find a way to beat the Ravens in Week 18 in a slugfest in the rain. The Ravens played a lot of backups, didn't have a lot to play for. However, they were still trying to beat them, and the Steelers found a way to win, and not only win, but that ended up clinching them a playoff spot because the Jacksonville Jaguars lost today. We'll talk about them later. But the Steelers, they're in with that win.
Yep, that was a clutch game for the men, Mike Tomlin and the squad. I mean, granted, it was against what's his? I don't know his first name. Tyler, I think Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley, yeah,
and you got to see our guy Mason Rudolph do it again, 3 weeks in a row, pulling it off. So glad they made the playoffs. I know I didn't have that happening this year, but great for the Steelers making some things. Wait, you said they didn't make the playoffs, right? Or they did?
The Steelers?
Yeah.
They did.
They did? They're the 6?
They're the
6-seed?
We don't know yet. Depends on this Bills-Dolphins game tonight.
All right, well, yeah, 10-7. Figured it out.
They're 10-7. They're either the 6th or the 7th seed, depending on the outcome of tonight's game.
Yeah. Next game we're looking at is going to be the Texans. They beat Indy. I called the 1.5. I think they won by like 5 or 6. I don't know. It was 23 something, I think.
23-17, I believe.
Yeah. It wasn't easy money. I was sweating there late in the game, and then they figured it out on D. But the Colts, they lose, they lost, and now they're not in the playoffs because Texans done took that spot. They're the divisional leaders, actually, because you said the Jags
they won the
fumbled.
division now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so our guy C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans pull it off. And, if D'Amico Ryans wins this Coach of the Year by any chance, your boy done called that, both of those. I said they win the division and he would win the thing. So we'll see. I'm going to say there's probably a slim
Very
chance,
proud
but
of
I'd
you
love
on
to see
that.
it happen.
Very proud of you. I think D'Amico should be the Coach of the Year. I think there's a small – there's a slight chance it goes to Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
I would say just to give shout-outs. Yeah, shouts out to coaches, though, who have been in the game for a while but did an excellent job this year. Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Mike Tomlin all found ways to get their teams in the playoffs despite people maybe not liking them as much in the preseason. The Packers are one of the youngest teams to ever make it. The Rams have a defense outside of Aaron Donald really that doesn't have anyone who's played more than 3 seasons of football. And so shout out to all of those coaches figuring out ways to win and get their teams to the playoffs. But certainly most deserving guys, I would say, would be Kevin Stefanski or D'Amico Ryans. I'm hard-pressed to give it to someone other than D'Amico Ryans. I think he's done the best job.
Rookie coach, rookie quarterback.
First time that's happened.
Yeah, that's wild.
And a team that was picking second last year, to playoffs. And it's not like they've been picking in the top 5 like 3-4 years in a row, and now you get this. So, huge accomplishment for D'Amico Ryans and the Texans. We said something about the Jags earlier. So speaking of those Jaguars, they lost 5 out of their last 6 games to miss the playoffs.
That's tough.
It's interesting. They have the same record as they did last year, but you couldn't have 2 more opposite feelings at the end of the year, right? They started 3-7 last year, won 6 out of 7 down the stretch to get to the playoffs, finishing at 9-8. This year they start 8-3, lose 5 out of 6 to miss the playoffs. Same record, much different feeling a year apart. Obviously, they were able to win a playoff game as well last year. They won't get that shot this year.
Yeah.
Very different feeling on Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence going into this offseason as opposed to last offseason, of course. And we'll see what happens with them. But that was a disappointing end of the year for them.
Yeah, definitely. Tough to see that. I mean, I had them doing really well, and that's not how it played out. So it is what it is.
I did too. I thought they were going to take a step.
Says Jameis overruling Dennis Allen to get Jamal Williams a cheap touchdown at the end. What happened with that?
So Jody clearly didn't see this one. You didn't catch this one. It slipped through the cracks today. I think this is really weird and also very relevant, despite both the Falcons and the Saints missing the playoffs. So that game, the winner could potentially win the NFC South if the Buccaneers lost. The Buccaneers ended up winning, so it didn't matter. But still gave the Saints a shot at getting a wild card they needed both the Seahawks and Packers to lose. Both those teams won, so they didn't get in. None of the things they needed to happen happened, but they finished the season at 9-8. Well, towards the end of the game, they're up 41-17. Tyrann Mathieu gets a pick. He looks like he's going to pick six it. There's like a minute and change to go, and then he kind of starts high stepping. Someone tackles him at the 1.
Okay.
So the Saints, come out there, and there's like a minute and change left. They're up 41-17. Consensus says you take a knee, get out of there, game's over.
Yeah.
So they line up in victory formation. Jameis, instead of taking the knee, hands it to Jamal Williams to get him a touchdown. The backstory on that is
it worth it?
Well, the backstory on it is Jamal Williams led the NFL in touchdowns last year with 17. He had not scored yet this year. He had 0 touchdowns. And so they were trying to get him a touchdown. Arthur Smith goes absolutely ballistic on Dennis Allen after the game. Super mad, running up the score. Now, my opinion on it as a coach, having been there before, one, I don't run up the score on people, or I try not to. Right? If I was in that position, I wouldn't, try and score. However, if it was done to me, I'm also not that mad about it. Like, at the end of the day, you smoked us, and there's nothing we could do about it. And if we were really that mad, we should have stopped you. So, Arthur Smith, I think his frustration was probably less about that as much as it was like the fact that the Falcons finished 7-10 and are picking 8th in the draft for a 3rd season in a row. That's probably where his frustration lies right now, more so than anything. And they got their butts kicked, okay? So at the end of the day, I think that's probably more what he's mad about than the actual running up of the score. But Dennis Allen, of course, gets asked about it after the game. Dennis Allen says the team asked him, could we get Jamal Williams a touchdown here? And he told them, no, we're taking a knee. So Jameis says he went in the huddle, talked about it as a team, and they all decided as a team, we're getting Jamal Williams this touchdown right now. So they went and got Jamal Williams the touchdown, overruled their head coach. It's a bad look all the way around.
Yeah, because there's a lot of miscommunication. Yeah.
I don't know if there's miscommunication as much as they said, hey, head coach, we don't care what you think. We're going to go do what we're going to do. That's not good for Dennis Allen. I don't know. It was a weird deal. Classic Jameis Winston. There's nothing more classic than Jameis being like, nah. And you know what? I think it came out of the totally out of the goodness of his heart. He just wants to get his teammate a touchdown who hadn't scored all year.
Yeah.
I really think that was what it was about. And he was like, I'm going to get my guy a touchdown. I don't care if I have to take the backlash for it. That's the kind of teammate Jameis is.
Well, didn't
at
they
the same time
struggle in the red zone all year too? This is probably why he probably decided at this point to get him one.
Yeah, I mean, he just hadn't scored one. So
yeah.
And then it's also perfectly encapsulates Jameis because it's the good teammate side of him. It's also the just reckless decision maker, like what are you doing side of him at the same time. And it's the stuff that drives coaches crazy. And but also the reason his teammates absolutely love him. It's perfect. I loved it. I thought it was a Jameis masterclass in week 18.
Yeah.
Just when you thought you've seen enough of Jameis, we get another little thing in the Jameis career. I think it's hilarious. But moving on from the NFC South to the AFC South, every team in that division finished with a winning record. Jody, do you know the last time that happened in professional football?
I would have never guessed it, but I'm staring at the answer right now, so I don't want to break the news.
For all of you listening and waiting and like going, what? 1935. It wasn't even the NFL back then, okay? We haven't had this in NFL history. I think it was the AFL, yeah. So, but, before the year, we liked all 4 of these teams. During the year, during our hot take section in the middle of the season, I hot take predicted all 4 teams would make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Didn't quite get that, but we got very close. All 4 teams with a winning record is incredible, and we're probably a Joe Burrow injury away from the Bengals sliding in there maybe, and we
probably
get us getting all 4 teams. This is the closest we've been to 4 teams from one division making the playoffs. We were this close, crazy. And we didn't get it, but all 4 teams winning record. That's very impressive. Arguably the best division we've had in football in the modern era.
Yeah, that is some crazy, almost 100 years right there. A little outside of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to fast forward a little bit, but speaking of 1960, our guy Puka, he got not only did he get the yards as a rookie, set that record, but he also got the reception, as a rookie. He got 105 and what was it, like 1468 for the yards or something?
Yeah, something 1486, I think, on the
Oh, there you go.
yards. Yeah.
Yeah, some of those
1480,
numbers.
105 for 1486, and he scored another touchdown today.
Yeah, I seen that.
Really awesome accomplishment. Seeing him with his mom on the sideline, afterwards, great stuff. Also, love the McVay, like, nice, get him out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
We do what
they
we
got him
needed
the
to
record
do,
and
get
they
him out of
got him out.
there.
Awesome stuff from everyone involved, McVay, Puka, all of it. As we look at a little bit of offseason stuff, before we turn our attention to the playoffs, the coaching carousel continuing to swirl. You've got obviously Carolina is open. The Chargers are open.
Mhm.
Vegas is technically open, but interim coach Antonio Pierce might get that job.
Yeah, I'd
You
like to see
saw
that.
a lot of stuff today that Ron Rivera is not safe in Washington and that they will be open. It's not official yet,
That
but
one makes
that's been
sense.
talked about. Saw a lot of stuff today from actually specifically from Jay Glazer, reported that Bill Belichick is done in New England, that today was his
Ooh,
last game. So
okay.
New England could be open. Arthur Smith, will Arthur Blank pull the trigger and fire Arthur Smith in Atlanta after a third straight year of mediocre football, not being able to get over the hump, not finding the right quarterback? Could
Mhm.
see that.
Yeah, that makes sense
Tennessee,
too.
a lot of rumblings about Vrabel not being happy
That's
in
wild.
Tennessee and wanting to leave. Could we see that job open? Other than that, it appears we won't see any other changes. I did hear one other little rumor: Pete Carroll and the
Oh, in
Seahawks, possibly,
Seattle?
maybe Pete Carroll calling it a career, maybe retiring.
Oh, okay.
Seattle possibly saying, "Hey, it's time for us to get younger at the head coaching position." He's 73, I
Old
think,
ways,
something
huh?
like that.
He
He's
is
he's
pretty old. I
older.
mean, he's just as old as Bill Belichick. I don't know how old he
Yes.
is, but they're like the same age.
Um, so maybe some could see a change there. But overall, I mean, we're bound to have at least 5, maybe more like
Yeah.
7 jobs open. It's gonna be really interesting to see who takes these jobs. Obviously, we have one of the candidates playing in the national championship or coaching in the national championship tomorrow, Jim Harbaugh, maybe have his pick of the litter
True.
there. There's gonna be some other coordinators who have certainly, possibilities. Obviously,
They're
Bill
talking about
Belichick,
Slowick. I don't know. I don't remember where he was from, but I heard them talking about that guy a lot.
Houston, he's off the
Houston.
Shanahan tree. He was their OC this year. Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator in LA. You may see some other names pop up in the next few weeks. Ben Johnson, the OC at
Probably
Detroit.
Bieniemy, maybe? Maybe he gets a shot.
Eric Bieniemy, the OC with Washington. Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator in Dallas. So all of these guys could be names that we start hearing about ramp up here in the next few weeks. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Obviously, like I said, Bill Belichick, if he is available, will be a guy who I would imagine will be coaching next year. I just don't know. It doesn't sound like it's going to be in New England. We'll see.
Well, I wanted to
So
put this kind of similar vein of your guy, Pete Carroll. Derrick Henry. I know he had that little speech at the end. I didn't really get to listen to
mhm.
it. I wasn't paying
he
too much
said he
attention.
said
I ended up
goodbye
talking with
to
him.
Titans fans.
Uh-huh.
So I
And
mean, it feels like he's a free agent this offseason. So it feels like maybe he and management have already had a conversation that's like,
yeah.
"Hey,
I
I'm
mean, he
going to be
probably got the
gone."
hint during the year too. Like they weren't really running him nearly as much as they used to. And I mean, that's got a lot of tread on the tires for a running back for sure. He's like 30
What's
something, maybe
funny
30.
is he went out on a vintage performance today.
Yeah, he
If
did
that
do
was
pretty
indeed
well.
his last game, he
He got
killed
2
the
tutties, didn't he?
Jags. Yeah, I mean, he was
I think
awesome
he
today.
always
So
does. I think that's actually like a true stat that he always goes crazy against them. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure someone will take a chance on him. Maybe the Cowboys. That wouldn't be a
maybe
bad spot to land.
Philly. There was a lot of rumors about Philly trying to trade for him in the offseason.
Really? They
Um,
did say that. I do remember that actually. But
Maybe the
yeah, wouldn't be
Chargers are
bad.
in the market for a running back if Austin Eckler doesn't return
Mm,
there.
that's a
Yeah,
nice
there could
spot
be a
too.
lot of a new number. Maybe the Falcons wanna add a 4th running back to their running back room. Who knows?
I
Who
mean,
knows?
maybe after today with our guy Bijan did, maybe they move him outside. We'll get to that
Who
later.
knows? Um, But turning our attention to the playoffs here, the stuff that matters. Philly lost another game today. They limp into the playoffs 1-5 in their last 6 games. It was an embarrassing loss, and
Bad.
I mean, just looking at the NFC matchups are set, so we'll look at those matchups first. But just looking, the 4-seeded Buccaneers host the 5-seed Eagles. Interesting matchup considering the Philly has not looked good. This is a rematch of a Week 3 game this year. Philly didn't necessarily dominate, but they beat the Buccaneers. I think it's an intriguing matchup, Joe. What do you think?
I think it's definitely going to be a lot closer than anyone probably thinks. I have a couple things built in around that game later on in the show, but yeah, Philly not only winning one of their last 6 is crazy, considering everyone thought, straight to the Super Bowl again, maybe a tough game versus the Niners in the championship, but now it's looking like Philly doesn't even low key make it past that first round against the Bucks. It's been bad all around. And I mean, we talked about it for a while. Maybe not as much as people would think, but we definitely said that one of those close games all year and late in the year, that's when you need to be playing your best ball, and losing badly, especially the Giants today. Like, I don't know.
After this stretch of ball and the way the Buccaneers defense seems to play at home, I wouldn't be shocked if Tampa is actually favored in that game.
That would shock me. I would assume it's going to be lower, maybe anything, but
I could
like
see
around
Tampa
5
by
or like
like a
3,
point.
but that
I
would be
could see
crazy
Tampa
to
by a
see.
point, just because the other thing is AJ Brown got hurt today.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that, but I heard that when I was listening.
We don't know if it's serious yet. I haven't seen anything declaring the seriousness of that injury, but that's not something to be turning your nose up at. Like, that could be a really big, important deal there. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I could see Tampa being favored slight favorites, or maybe even a pick 'em.
Yeah, like
Taking into
1 or
account
half a
the
point
home
or
field
something.
advantage you would bake in for Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to the 3-6 matchup. I mean, it's the dream playoff matchup. It's probably the
The
best
media
of
is gonna go
all of them.
crazy all this week.
It's the Lions, everyone's favorite
Yeah.
upstart. It's Dan Campbell. It's this scrappy Lions team that has built it the right way through the draft, through big picks, through marquee names and players that are playing big ball right now. They've got big stones. They go for it on 4th down. They go for 2. They do all the stuff, right? It's everyone's like favorite upstart.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting to finally host
It
a
would
playoff
be
game.
quote unquote America's team at the moment, not necessarily as like forever.
Yeah. Don't take
Everyone's in
offense,
love with
Cowboys
them.
fans.
Yeah.
Don't take offense. Okay? They're hosting their first playoff game in 30 years. And on the other side, you've got the LA Rams, the team that everyone said was dead, the team that said, everyone said they traded all their picks, their window's gone. They traded for Stafford. They won their Super Bowl, but they're done now. Well, now all of a sudden they have a similar build in terms of all their best guys are Rams draft picks, except for Stafford, the one guy they traded for, who comes home for his first game back in Detroit in the playoffs. It is fitting, and it's got to be terrorizing for Detroit fans. They finally get to host a playoff game, and who do you have to see? The guy you traded away. The guy you traded away in 2021 in the offseason. You have to see him for the first time back in Detroit, and it's in a playoff game. What a nightmare for Lions fans. I mean,
literally,
just
it would be like
honestly.
seeing the ghosts of like whatever's past. You know what I mean? Just you wake up, you got your man, and you're like, oh, we've seen this plenty of times. Like the way I don't want it to play out this way, but him getting a late drive to win, or like seeing him like getting somewhat
Rip
injured in the game, and then
Lions
just
fans.
throwing like a dart to
Yeah.
win. Like that would be something
Like
that
one of those where the
you've
Lions
seen
are
way too
up.
many times.
Yeah, the Lions are up. It's like they're up 2 scores, 8 minutes to go. All of a sudden, Stafford scores. Lions fans are getting nervous. The Rams get a stop.
Yeah,
Now
big
Stafford
stop.
has the ball with a chance to win. And it's just, you just know, like, it's one of those. It definitely feels like it's going to be one of those.
Don't want to see it play out that way, but it
Such
would
a
definitely make sense.
rich storyline kind of game. It's the best game
For
of the
sure.
weekend. It's got to be. And then you go to the next game, the 2-seeded Cowboys, who have been freaking fantastic. They've been like the best team in
especially
the
at home.
NFL when they get to play at home this year.
Yep.
When they get to play at home, they're arguably the best team in the league versus the youngest team to make the playoffs in like 25 years or whatever it is, the Packers. Jordan Love replacing the legend, right? He gets his team
Yeah,
in his first year
that's for sure.
starting to the playoffs after starting like 3-6, I
bad.
think, 2-6. They were awful. And he gets his team into the playoffs in that first year, and they're going to be playing the Cowboys, and it's two brands. Brand names. Cowboys,
Yeah.
Packers. I mean, those are two of the best brands in football right there with the Steelers. Like when you're talking
Yeah,
about OG,
that's for sure.
best brands, those are the three teams you think of. You get a matchup Cowboys, Packers. It doesn't really get better than these matchups we got in the NFC. I think we got three pretty good games.
Yeah,
Now,
that's for sure.
the Packers are going to have to be able to run the ball to stay in that game with Dallas and not let Dallas run away with it. But I think we got three great storylines, three really good games. Should be some good stuff. I'm excited for the NFC games.
Yeah, I think the Packers game, I think it's just gonna see how they could do with their matchups on their receivers because the Cowboys sling the rock like no other, and it's not necessarily. I don't think they have the best run game. I've mentioned that a couple times, but I mean they did it. They did well today with Dowdle running. I heard while I was listening at the gym, and we'll see. Maybe they figure that out later in the year now. Considering playoff ball, they switch up things a little bit, not necessarily rely on CD or maybe even Cooks down in the red zone, and it could be a fun game for sure.
I agree. So we got that. Then we go over to the AFC. And obviously, the AFC, we have one matchup that we know of. The Texans, who won the division.
Yep.
Such a great story this year. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. They will host the Browns, who are a great story in their own right. The team went through 5 different starting quarterbacks this year,
that was
including
wild.
Driscoll starting today. They obviously found the best one of the bunch, which was Joe Flacco. Which, by the way, they're going to have a weird offseason, with Deshaun Watson. I mean, they're still paying Deshaun all that guaranteed money. It feels like they can't really move on from him. Anyway, for now, their guy is Joe Flacco. And the defense has been incredible all year. Now, the one thing I will say, if you look at their home road splits, they're a much better team at home than they are on the road. They will have to be on the road for majority of the playoffs. And 2, defensively specifically, they are one of the best defenses in the NFL at home. They're more closer to mediocre to good on the road defensively. So Houston gets to host. This should be a fun game. It's going to be Joe Flacco over CJ Stroud throwing freaking bombs all over the field would be what I guess.
Yeah, CJ Stroud is going to be looking to light up the deep ball we saw with Nico Collins on Saturday. Joe Flacco slinging it like no other as well. I think he's been putting up like 300 plus in all the games he's played. Crazy, except maybe that Rams game. I don't know if he did it that day, but all the ones he's
really
won
good that
for
day.
sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be a shootout probably for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I think both defenses are good, but the quarterbacks just love to huck and chuck. So, now the last 2 matchups here in the AFC come down to this Bills-Dolphins Sunday Night Football game. And so before we tell you what those matchups look like, we'll update you here. The game is 0-0 to start the second quarter. We've already seen 3 interceptions thrown. Tua has thrown 1, and Josh Allen's thrown 2. So the game's starting off with a bang. Defense is playing well. So if the Dolphins were to win tonight, then the 3-6 matchup would be Chiefs-Steelers, and the 2-7 would be Dolphins-Bills. So we just get a rematch.
Run it back,
the Bills go right back to Miami.
Would you even travel home at that point? Like, it's probably snowing in New York, low key.
Philosophy. Yeah. Depends on the philosophy there. Opposite end of the spectrum, Bills win, then the 3-6 would be Chiefs-Dolphins. We'd get that Tyreek going back to Arrowhead matchup. And then Bills-Steelers, which would be kind of fun. So I think personally, from a matchup standpoint, the more fun matchups are Bills-Steelers, Chiefs-Dolphins.
I would agree. I was gonna say I'd love to
as
see that,
opposed to
and you
seeing
get
Chiefs
more
Steelers. And
headlines out of Tyreek going
yeah,
to Chiefs, and yeah,
so I think I'm not rooting for the Bills, but if I had a preference as to who wins tonight, I guess that would be my preference, just
yeah,
because I want to see those matchups. But it'll work itself out either way. Either set of matchups is still fun and it's good. But yeah, I think Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills, Steelers is a little bit more fun.
yeah.
Just
No,
because
definitely.
we saw the Chiefs Dolphins in London earlier this year, or Germany. Was it Germany? No,
I think
London.
I want to say no. I think
I
Germany
think it
was
was
the Jags
Germany.
game.
I
Oh
don't
no,
know,
Jags
man.
stayed in London. Never mind. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. In Germany,
I think it
where
was
we saw it.
Germany. So,
Yeah,
but now we get to see it in the States in Arrowhead. It's gonna be freaking like 10 degrees.
yeah.
So like it'll
They're
just
gonna
be
be
fun.
frozen out there, running all over the
Mahomes
place,
versus
keeping warm.
Tua, Tyreek back in Arrowhead, McDaniel
Hmm.
versus Andy Reid. Just that's a fun matchup. Plus, Bills Steelers. I think the way Mason Rudolph is playing at quarterback for the Steelers right now, that's kind of
Yeah,
a fun game too. So I don't know. We'll see what we get here. Of all the matchups, though, outside, I think we both really like Lions Rams, and that's not
yeah.
even because I'm a Rams fan. I think that's just the best matchup, just the most storylines. Outside of that game, what's your favorite game? What game would you be looking forward to the most?
Ooh, let me honestly, I think just we kind of talked about it already with the AFC segment, but the Texans Browns. I mean, you got the young gun versus the old vet. You know what I mean? Two dudes that sling the rock. That sounds fun. You got the rookie coach, and I don't know how long was it. Stefanski? Is that the Browns coach? I don't know how long he's been there. I think it's like 6 years, something. I don't
I
know,
think it's year
but
4.
4. There you go. Goes to show I don't know. But I mean, way I say that seems really fun. Let those dudes duke it out. Let the offense put on a show for everyone, especially in Houston where they haven't seen a home playoff game in a couple years. So I like that one too.
If if we were to get it, I think my favorite matchup would be Chiefs Dolphins. If we
Yeah,
don't get
I
that
can see that.
matchup, then I'm very interested in Buccaneers Eagles. Just because
Yeah,
I want to see if the Eagles,
let
if
the
that
cannons fly.
championship DNA can come out when they need to pull it out in the playoffs. And I want to see Baker Mayfield keep doing what he's been doing in the regular season and let it translate to a postseason game.
I was gonna
He's
say,
one
is
and
he
one in the
okay?
playoffs.
Didn't he get hurt today?
Yes, he was hurt
Did
going
he
into the
come
game
back or
today.
something?
Yeah, he finished, but yeah,
Okay,
he's
okay.
it's
Baker
nervous time
toughing
there.
it
He's
out.
Baker, dude. He's tough. He's tough. Um,
Sounds like Baker.
all right, let's get to our final awards. We're trying to get to watch this Sunday night football game like the rest of you. So we're
Yep.
gonna get through our awards and we'll be back, obviously, like I said, later this week with the in-depth playoff previews once we know the games for sure. So our last awards of the year, Jody, who you got Tukwa Gamer of the Week?
I kind of touched on it briefly when we talked about the Texans early on, but I went with Nico Collins. Nothing says more gamer than going 9 for 9 on your catches, 195 yards, a touchdown. Low key could have had 2 touchdowns, but he got horse collared right there at like the 5. And he opened the game with a touchdown, 75 yards, bro. Come on. That was wild to see. Just my man went crazy. Him and CJ Stroud were lighting it up together and, making magic happen on the field. So Nico Collins, he is my gamer of the week this week.
I love that pick because you know where Nico Collins went to school.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not good with college, bro. I don't, you know that. I don't really pay attention much to the
It's
college football in general, but I don't know where nobody goes.
for those who aren't watching, I'm wearing a Michigan sweatshirt, and so he went to Michigan. It's a lot of funny jokes, there because the Big Ten championship is played in Indy.
Oh,
So
okay.
everyone was saying, "Hey, congratulations to C.J. Stroud for finally playing in Indy." Then the
Uh-huh.
next joke was, "It's fitting that C.J. Stroud's first touchdown pass in
That's
Indy is to a Michigan receiver."
that's
So
hilarious.
that makes sense. All of that is funny. I'm also going with the receiver, one that probably you won't expect for my gamer of the week this week. And the reason that he's a gamer is because his team really was out of it, and
Mhm.
it didn't matter. He put on a show. Justin Jefferson. His team might not be going to the playoffs this year. They went 7-10. just like I accurately predicted on this podcast before the season. But he still had a great year. He got to 1,000 receiving yards today. Just his 10th game of the year. That's insane. That means the guy's averaging over 100 yards receiving a game.
Yeah, that's
12
wild.
catches, 192 yards, and a touchdown, despite losing to the Lions today. The Vikings need to make sure he gets taken care of in the offseason, both financially and by getting him a quarterback.
That's
Maybe
for sure.
retaining Kirk Cousins. Just saying. I don't know. That might be in their plans. I don't know. Maybe they drafted, go up to take one. There was a huge rumor this week. I don't know if you saw this. Said they tried to trade like 5 first-round picks to get up and take Anthony Richardson in last year's draft.
Oh,
So
I did see
wonder
that, like, later today,
if
I
we'll
think.
see. We'll see if they're aggressive trying to draft a quarterback this year, if they were that aggressive last year, or if they bring back Kirk Cousins. We'll see. But overall, dog of the week or gamer of the week, Justin Jefferson. Now, dog of the week is on Jody.
My dog of the week is going to Bijan. I kind of teased it as well. He went crazy from the receiving end. He went 7 catches on 8 targets, 103 yards and a touchdown, 11 carries, 28 yards. You know, my dogs, I always liked having running backs early on for sure. I kind of went back to my roots right here with this one. That touchdown, I believe, was like 40-ish yards. I seen it on Red Zone earlier in the day on my lunch. And, you know, nothing says closing out the year like that, even though, you know, they couldn't pull it off in that Saints game. But when I was watching, they were winning until, you know, in the back end, they got pulled out of water. So, yeah, Bijan Robinson lining it up on the receiving end, kind of doing a little bit of a CMC imitation, you know, because he wasn't here this week. So that's who I went with this week.
Nice, love it. Good rookie year for Bijan, by the way.
I
got the minor setback for a major comeback, and I'm going with the often not talked about unless they do something wrong. However, also like absolutely destroyed when they do things wrong. The kicker, all right? I'm going with Jake Moody, the rookie kicker for the San Francisco 49ers, who also happens to be from Michigan, where they called him Money Moody. All right. But this year, he's gone 21 of 24 for field goals, 58 for 58 on extra points. He made his first 2 kicks on the day, extending his extra point streak to 60 out of 60, which was the longest active streak, I think, in the league or something like that. He had, or maybe the longest streak to start a career since they moved it back.
That I don't know.
To the 15-yard line.
It was something about since they moved it, it was the longest streak or something. Yeah.
And then he missed a 38-yard field goal. Then he missed an extra point. So he finished the day going 2 for 4 overall on all his kicks. And missing those last 2, you know, not great for the guy. But I anticipate the rookie kicker getting back on track when San Francisco hosts a divisional playoff game. They don't call him Money Moody for no reason. So I expect him to get back on track. I think he'll be okay.
Little get back. I mean, he's got a week to figure it out, you know, practice, get his leg a little bit back on track, and then get back into the game. But let's see. This leads us to our no cap hats off. Looks like
no cap hats off, baby.
You got one out of that Saints game that we've been talking about. What happened?
Third quarter, right? The game is tied at 17. This was the play that broke the game open.
Okay.
Chris Olave, right? Derek Carr just throws up a prayer, essentially, like a hey, 50-50 ball for Chris Olave in the end zone. DB had a good play on it. Chris Olave caught the ball 3 times. He caught it once, popped up, caught it twice, popped up, caught it a third time in the end zone for the touchdown. Puts the Saints up 24-17 in the third quarter. They never looked back, ended up winning the game 48-17. So they scored, 31 unanswered points. And it started with that Chris Olave triple catch in the end zone to put him up. And they never looked back after that.
I was gonna say earlier too, when you talked about the Jamal Williams touchdown, you could have thrown that one here too, low key. Just fake the kneel and get a tutty to
honestly, real quick. That could have been it. I mean, there's a lot of no cap hats off in that game, to be quite frank with you. So, all right. We're moving on to the Strahan Munoz Big Fellow Award, and it sounds like you've got a big fella on the Bengals that you want to highlight.
Yeah, so last week I fumbled on not only knowing what team my dude was on, so I made sure at least I'm looking at his number and the team, and I have his name over here on my paper. So 73 on the Bengals, who I'm rolling with, is gonna be Jonah Williams right here. He's what's crazy? He's
Bama.
our age. Sure,
Yeah, out
Bama.
of Bama.
You should start doing
Bama
this. Every
produces
time I
good
say
offensive
someone, you should
linemen.
say where they went, and if you don't know,
Yeah, I'll help you. I'll get your game up, dude. I'll get your game up.
But yeah, he's our age. I didn't know that. 26 when I pulled up where he was from, or his number. I always look at the number on the game, and then eventually I'll look over at who it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Today he let up 2 assisted tackles. One of those was like fluky. The dude already was stopped in the backfield, and then his guy made it to you know, get the gang tackle on him. Let's see. He has great eyes, bro. There was a play where he chose the right dude on the stunt, so he had help from the running back on the pass pro. He instead of taking the dude that came over the top, he took the dude that rode the dude under. His back came and stopped that dude. It was pretty. Let's see. What other notes do I have? He's a right guard. I should say that. Not many times I highlight them. Or right tackle, I'm sorry. And let's see. He has a good kick step on his pass pro. It's deep, and he keeps his hands loose. So he either just creates separation and holds the dude out right there, doesn't just stops him in his tracks, or he'll get the punches in and not let them get hands on him. Kind of a nice. He's good in pass. He's good in the run game too. They do a lot of down blocks, which I didn't realize till today in the Bengals offense. So he was good at getting up to that linebacker if he ever had to go up that way.
Mm.
So
So they're
yeah.
running a lot of gap scheme today.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
bro, I didn't. I wanted to write it down. The Bengals rushing went crazy today. I know Joe Mixon was over 100 at the third quarter. It was they were putting on a clinic today versus the Browns. I mean, they kind of probably pulled everyone, but got to get the dub still one way or another.
Yeah. All right, my big fella award is going to go to Chris Jones, and not because he had a crazy day. This
Yeah.
man earned a $1.2 million incentive today by securing a sack against the Chargers. Gave him 10.5 sacks on the season. You got to love the big fellas earning big incentives. Come on
Yeah.
now. This podcast's a big fan of that. We love that stuff. Also,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Jadeveon Clowney with the Ravens. He did something similar. His bonus
He did
wasn't
get
as
one.
big, but he also secured a back as
I
well.
think there
So
was a
good for
dude
those
on the
guys.
Saints as well, if I'm not mistaken, that got one. He ended up doing a
Week
little dance
18.
move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Week 18 incentive push, people kind of forget about that one a lot of the time. It's pretty good. All right, Jody. So we got to go to the Who's Cooking Award. We highlight quarterbacks who are cooking or maybe not anything very good. But I'll start on this one.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
got a pair for the first time ever. This is the first time we've ever given this award out, where I'm giving it out to 2 quarterbacks from a single
2 for
game.
1, baby.
A 2-for-1. You're getting a 2-for-1 special today. All right. Carson Wentz and Sam Darnold. All right. The Rams
And the
Niners was
backups.
a matchup of 2 top 5, former top 5 quarterbacks
Yeah.
in terms of
True.
draft picks, trying to restore their careers. Great head coaches, great offenses,
Mm-hmm.
and the teams with not as much to play for, resting their star quarterbacks, their Pro Bowl quarterbacks, in favor of these guys who are both trying to restore their careers. And they didn't disappoint, to be honest with you. Wentz, he was 17 of 24, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 pick,
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily his fault. It was kind of a tip ball that got tipped to the line of scrimmage. Then Tutu Atwell couldn't quite catch it, tipped again,
Oh,
interception.
okay.
He also had 17
Yeah, he
rushes
had a lot of
for
runs.
56 yards and the game tying, which proved to be game winning touchdown after they went for 2 and got it. Sam
Mm-hmm.
Darnold on the other side, 16 of 26, 189 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 7 rushes for
Nice.
19 yards and a touchdown of his own.
Ooh.
Did have the fumble at the end, but again, pressure was getting into him. Can't necessarily say it was 100% all his fault. Thought he played really well. Both guys, they put their teams in position to win. A very entertaining game that was what many considered meaningless. It was not meaningless for these guys. It was very meaningful for both of them to showcase that they still have a lot of talent. And they may be guys, you look at what happened with Baker Mayfield last year in LA to finish the year. He gets the starting gig in Tampa, then has a good year. There may be a team like Atlanta or Washington who says, hey, we don't get a quarterback in the draft. maybe you say a Sam Darnold or a Carson Wentz is a cheap option that we can go get and let that guy be a guy at least for a year while we're
Yeah,
paying him cheap money until we can figure it out. And maybe it works out like it did with Baker Mayfield in Tampa. So both these guys did some good stuff for themselves in their careers today.
yeah, that's for sure. I know Carson Wentz had some clutch like QB sneaks down at the end too, get the first down, keep the drive rolling. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun watching him come back in. I know the first game we brought him in, I was or like he didn't play, but like he was in the building. I saw him on the sideline. I took a picture of him. I was like, hey, this is the guy that's gonna bring us back. And low key, since that day, I think that's when the Rams started winning all these games. And not saying he's the reason, but he was there at the very start when things were looking dicey a little bit. But
Yeah.
my Who's Cooking award is gonna go to Jake Browning. So I know I already talked about the lineman doing well in the Bengals game, but he did have a good game. Let me tell you these numbers real quick. So he went, where are we at? 18 for 24, 156. So 18 for 24 on his passes, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 2 carries, 18 yards. But more importantly, what I wanted to talk about was this dude had 4 offsides on the hard count, bro. Just
Wow.
and these were like clutch, like you're within the other team's 10, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to get out, get a little space, get the drive rolling, and he pulled it out. Or I guess it was his 10, I should say, right? That's how it works. So yeah, that was what caught my eye for sure. Just the way he was able to get those dudes jumping off sides was huge. And then he had a really early day. They benched him like right in like towards the end of the third, brought in their backup to him and let him close out the game. So Jake Brown was looking nice today too.
Good for Jake Brown. He had a good year playing for
Joey B.
yeah, proved I think that he's a legitimate backup in
Oh,
this league for a
definitely.
long time.
Definitely looked
Um,
good for a lot of games.
let's get to one of our favorite awards. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised you didn't pick someone else for this award. And I'm excited to hear what you say. The Boo Boo Evans Award of Week 18. Who's it go to, Joe?
Well, I want to know your answer first because I want to know what game you're talking about.
I thought you were gonna give it to the tandem of Gardner Minshew and Goodson in the Colts game. Just the pass being a little off target and the guy
Yeah,
it hit in his hands, but
okay.
him not catching it on the
He
fourth and
did.
two. I thought it was gonna be a Boo Boo Evans Award moment. I'm not gonna lie,
I
but
didn't. Okay, so for one, I don't know why they put him in the game that late. I don't trust me. I
Jonathan
don't
Taylor.
even.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying though. He was
I'm not
doing well
gonna.
running the ball all game. And then they
Nope.
bring in
Nope.
that dude who I'd never seen. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying much close attention to the game, but I didn't see him probably at all from what I was watching. I was on my phone a little bit, not gonna lie. But yeah, that was a questionable call. He did cross my mind. But this one, it ties in the team going 1-6 or 1-5 down the stretch. Jalen Hurts, man. So let me tell you, I have a late championship in fantasy, and I thought, the Eagles need to get right before the playoffs, get a nice win in the divisional game, against the Giants. Boy, was I wrong. This dude went 7 for 16, 55 yards, 1 pick, 2 carries for 4 yards. His his stats or his score was .2, bro. I had Dak Prescott on my bench who lit it up and got like 25. Not to mention my dude gets benched and they send in Mariota because it's already they're down 24 to nothing, I believe, when they did this. And you
Yeah.
don't want to risk injury. But also, how do you want to go into the playoffs
Also,
getting
his middle
smoked?
finger was messed up. If you saw
Oh,
that,
was
that
it
was
really?
weird
I didn't
looking.
see that.
Yeah, I thought that was also part of why they took him out. His middle finger was
Probably
bent
very
the wrong
true.
way.
But yeah,
Um,
that's not pretty. I mean, I know I could have thrown him for my Who's Cooking award, but I think it was more fitting here considering the things that we've seen in the past 6 weeks. So it's all bad
agreed.
in Philly right now. I don't know if I want to put it out there in the world, but I was going to congratulate them on punching a ticket to Cancun because, I don't know. They're not looking like things are going to end up well in the playoffs. So yeah, Jalen Hurts, man. Good
Fair
luck in the
enough.
playoffs. Figure it out, I hope. This is gonna bring us to our
Update.
standing on business award. Oh, go ahead, my bad.
Update on Sunday Night Football, 7-7, 4 minutes to go in the
Ooh.
second quarter. Good game.
All right, we got some scores now.
The Standing on Business Award, the Cowboys, the most
You
frequent
did say
award
you
winner of
might
this.
want to just. Yeah, I was gonna say you did say
Rename
at
it to
one
the
point, but
Cowboys Award.
yeah,
I might.
yeah.
They win it again. This is the 4th time that they've won this award this year. We've only had it for the back half of the season. There's only been
True.
like 8 award winners of this. They've won half of
Yeah.
them. 13.5-point favorites to secure the NFC East title today, and they
Nice,
smashed Washington 38-10. The Cowboys, you are standing on business.
Have been for sure.
All right, now for our last turnover on downs of the NFL season right here. 1st and 10. I'm coming at you with the trend, right? So this is not necessarily a brand new trend, but it's something that I watched a lot this week. And actually in the college football playoff games, I thought I saw a bunch of it. A lot of power read or power RPO stuff. All right. And so what that means is the quarterback has the option to run power, or in this case, give it to the back to out leverage the defense. If it's true RPO, which is what Alabama tried to run at the end of the game, you can motion the back out and then throw it to him or run the power. So here's what you get. All right, Carson Wentz, we're going to motion this back, Zach Evans, offset to him. Yeah, once again, if you're not watching on YouTube, highly recommend. So Carson Wentz, he's got Zach Evans in the pistol. He motions him up to work side by side with him, right? On the snap, you're going to get the back going shoulders to the line of scrimmage, coming straight across. You're going to pull the backside guard and down block with everyone else. So you got a tight end. He's going to reach the end. We're going to get a down block, down block, down block. This backside tackle, going to down block to the backside backer. So what you're doing then is you're leaving the front side defensive end free. Tutu Atwell is going to try and get out here and get leverage on the slot corner. You're going to block the corner up top with the receiver. You're going to leave the front side, play side, defensive end unblocked, and your puller is getting the play side backer. So what you're trying to do, block everyone except for the play side end, and then let that end man on the line of scrimmage tell you what to run. If he attacks the quarterback and he goes inside, you give it to the running back who's pretty fast, and Zach Evans going towards the edge of the defense where you've got 2-on-2 with blockers and theoretically a 1-on-1 then with the safety who's 15 yards deep right now. You love that as an offense. Or if the end stays flat and the back's motion to the sideline or the action to the sideline influences him, the quarterback can then keep it, get north and south right now, and follow his puller. All right, so we'll see how this plays out for the Rams. They ran Carson Wentz 17 times today. They ran different variations of power read or power RPO. It was very interesting, actually. So you can see it right here. The shoulders, the way they are, of Randy Gregory, actually say that maybe this should be a give here. However, Wentz is too nasty with it, influences him, expects Gregory to flip his shoulders. He does, and by the time he does that, Wentz keeps it. And now look at the blocking. Down, 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 right, follow up the guard in the hole.
Ooh.
And it's a big time gain, about a 7-yard gain on 2nd and 8. So good stuff from Wentz. Really good stuff from McVay, especially considering that that's not part of their normal offense. They don't run power read with Matthew Stafford, right?
Yeah, no,
so this was fun. This is a fun wrinkle to watch. And I would not put it past McVay to maybe throw Wentz in there a play or two in the playoff game against Detroit. With the amount of success they had running Wentz today, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
wouldn't put it past McVay to do that once or twice.
I mean, we've seen that's like what the Saints do with like Taysom Hill. They'll get him in there a couple times a game and let him run something similar. Maybe not RPO, but like not play action. I'm sorry. What are the words?
QB run game?
No, not
RPO.
Like either a design run. No, because they don't. I don't think it's more just
sprint out stuff.
Just reads. Not having the read to the pass, but
just zone read, read, power read stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm lost of words. But yeah, something similar to that for sure. I could see happening. Second down, I normally give you the bet for next week, but at the moment, with the uncertainty of the AFC playoff picture, they haven't put out the lines yet. But I'll give you some things to look forward to that you might want to put some money on. I'm gonna say, for one, Cowboys money line. We talked about them at home being great, so I don't know what the odds will be for that, what then the minus will be, but if it's a good number, go ahead and take that. I would like that for sure. Even their spread, they've done this 4 times. Big spreads, they take the dub still by that amount or more. And I was gonna say anything around like 5-ish, because playoffs. I'm sure it's gonna make that number a little bit smaller. Anything around 5, between 1 and 5, I would say is a good number to have them. And if it's bigger, maybe you take the Packers, because playoff ball, things are gonna be a little funky. And then I have the Buck spread. Now I don't plan on it being them the favorite, but I would like them, whatever it is, as if it's them being the underdog. Anything between like 5-ish, I would say is solid. So like 5.5, 5, somewhere around there would be good. I think they could either win in general, or it's a safe bet to say it's going to be a close ball game in my eyes. And then a little prop bet for you, I'd say CeeDee Lamb yards and or reception is probably a good safe bet. The Bucks, their receiving is kind of tough because you could expect Chris Godwin to go off, and it's a Mike Evans game. You know what I mean? So they're always a little dicey to pick. I'm not fond on those ones, but those are just like the quick ones I would say off the rip. You could probably even do maybe a little bit of Jordan Love rushing yards, whatever that may be. He's been solid in the run game. Like, I don't know. Just a few I'd keep my eyes open for, see what it comes out to. Maybe they look nice later on.
Okay. All right. And I'm still checking that score at the 2-minute warning. We're still 7-7. Miami on Buffalo's end of the field. They got a 3rd and 3, critical 3rd and 3 here. Okay. We're going to the third down breakdown. We're going to go to Green Bay. And it doesn't get much more clutch than this, all right? Green Bay, they're up 7-6 on Chicago. Chicago's defense has been playing really well as of late. And Green Bay needs to win and in. If they win, they're in. If they lose, they are out. There was no other way to get in other than win today. All right, so you got 3rd and 3 in the red zone. You kick a field goal here, it keeps Chicago really in the game.
Yeah,
you get a touchdown, it really puts pressure on Chicago. And they're able to score here on this 3rd and 3 in the red zone. And it's really just because Jordan Love throws an absolute laser. So from a schematic standpoint, what you're getting here, the Bears are playing tight cover 3 in the red zone. They're going to man the corners essentially. And you're going to get 2 flat defenders, 2 hook defenders, and a backer who's going to play, or a safety who's going to play the middle of the field, but he's going to play it right at the goal line, right? Because it's 3-by-1, it bumps a little. So your flat defender is a DB. And what they did is they brought their other safety over to be the hook defender here. That leaves your other backer as the hook defender, and your last backer is the flat defender backside. Okay, but you're really one-on-one with the corner, so he's there for the back is really what he's looking at. Now, because this nickel corner up top is a flat player, he's going to carry the vertical. He's going to carry it from outside leverage. So what happens, and what the mistake that the Bears make there, you're going to see they don't push, which means they don't pass defenders here with these routes.
Oh, okay.
And Jordan Love throws such a laser that it gets in between the nickel corner and it's not long enough up the field for the safety to make a play. So you'll see it here. It's just really good quarterback play from Jordan Love. Now, right here, this is a push call.
Those two, I think.
I'll take this one. That hook defender can't run here. He's got to sit, right? He's got to sit here because we're pushing over. So I, as a backer, am pushing this DB to play underneath 2 so he can play outside 2. And then we've still got 1 on the vertical of 2, and we're playing man-to-man up top, right? So you'll see what happens is he gets underneath 3, but he doesn't push the other DB to get underneath 2. And because he's on top and outside, there's a window there. See it?
Yep.
And this throw happens so quick, the safety can never get there. So now he catches it at the 5, and Dontayvion Wicks just punishes his way into the end zone. It's a great throw from Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Didn't give the defense to make a chance. Now, it was a little mistake by the Bears, but you can see it from this angle really well too. The backside, you can see Jordan Love recognizes coverage. He knows he's got outside leverage and on top, and he sees they're not pushing. See, if you can see from this
Yeah.
angle, he should push over and he should push under, right? But they don't. This DB stays on Jaden Reed in the slot, and it leaves it wide open for Dontayvion Wicks with an outside leverage defender where Jordan Love can just put it on him
Yeah.
and he scores. Big time stuff.
That's nice.
Jordan Love has gotten better as the season went. He was a guy that I had a lot of confidence in going into the season. Not everyone felt the same way, and especially after the way he started the year, not everyone was feeling great about him. There was a moment where it was like, hey, are the Packers going to be in the market for a quarterback? And after that, after the way the season ended and how everything went, I think he answered a lot of questions. I don't think they'll be in the market for a quarterback.
Well, yeah, I mean, you sold him on me, or sold me on him. I mean, earlier in the year, I thought there was a lot of question marks. He started looking good. I actually had him on my fantasy team as my backup. He did well, and I will say another one I thought of for a bet. You could do Jaden Reed yards. He's been looking nice on that too. So, but let's see. 4th down of the turnover on down is going to be the bad beat. Now I got a couple right here for you, all prop bets. So for one, I had Chris Godwin yards. Like I said, they're iffy, and he got 51. My number was 52.5. That's tough. I seen a Brandon Cooks one, 40.5. The dude got 39. And Devin Singletary, this one the toughest one. His was 63.5, and he got 63. That's the killer right there. That half a yard. So all those a little dicey, Yeah, hate to see it, but some people, they make their money. Some people they get on the wrong side of it. So
yeah,
those are all tough.
That's tough.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the banger of the week. I'm gonna do a little tip of the cap to myself. Last night I had an idea, and that idea turned into a dinner. And so we're going with the food this week. I made a chicken and shrimp Cajun pasta.
Okay,
right.
So where's the Cajun come to play? On the shrimp or?
Okay, so I'll tell you how I cooked it. I'll break it down for you. All right.
All right.
So you take a little chicken, right? Chicken breast, cut it in half long ways.
Okay.
You put a little Cajun seasoning, like McCormick Cajun seasoning on it.
Yeah.
Then a little bit of flour, and then you cook it in some olive oil.
Okay.
Sear it on every side. Yada yada yada. Set the chicken aside. Similar deal with the shrimp, just without the flour, but Cajun seasoning, same thing. Shrimp. Set it aside. Then we put a little white wine in the pan that we used to cook the chicken and the shrimp.
Yep.
Let that roll. Then we put some garlic, some butter, some tomato paste, and a mixture of seasonings with like half and half and honey. Put all of that in there. We're scooping it around, slowly whipping it up. Meanwhile, we got the penne pasta cooking on the water, boiling.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that okay? Question: Is that your favorite pasta? If you're like making it at home, not necessarily going out to eat somewhere.
The penne.
Yeah.
If I'm making that kind, if I'm making Cajun style, yeah, I want the penne. Penne style noodles are good. So then,
yeah, I like them a lot too.
Once I got those done, right, then I pop those back into the sauce. Throw the chicken and the shrimp in there, mix it all around, and voila, you've got yourself this great Cajun chicken and shrimp pasta. And it was good stuff. I mean, I think the combination of all the different spices used in it, it was really good. I enjoyed myself that dinner. And I made
any bread on the side, or
I was supposed to, and then I forgot about the bread. I was supposed to just do a little French bread with some butter.
Let the meal speak for itself.
And then instead I just had the Cajun pasta. It took about 45 minutes to make, just because the sauce takes a while. You got to sear the chicken, do the shrimp.
I was gonna say, and
sauce
you got to do that separately.
Yeah, so it did take me a little while, but it was good. It was worth it for sure.
Sounds good for sure.
Maybe that's a wrap.
Whip that up when you come out here,
huh? Hey, yeah, maybe I'll have to try to. But that's a wrap on week 18. We'll we'll keep you guys updated. I guess we'll keep ourselves updated. Oh, the Dolphins just scored. All right,
Oh,
Dolphins up
Tyreek.
14-7. Plenty
Tyreek
of time before the half
TD.
for the Bills to counter though. But we'll be back later this week. I think we're thinking Wednesday. We'll have to verify and figure it out. But to break down all the playoff matchups, we'll give you all the stuff, the important keys to every game. We'll talk about our favorite bets from every game, and we'll make sure that you're fully prepared to watch the games next weekend once we have the schedule and all the matchups. But we'll be back later this week. Appreciate you guys listening, watching, subscribing, telling your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend. And
Yeah. Let 'em
with
know.
that being said, we'll let our guy take us
Ray
out, Ray
Ray.
Ray.